A new school year is a lot like nesting for a new baby. It makes you want to gather up all the school supplies and reorganize things and get new systems. And especially as a homeschooling mom of 5, I like to have things to be organized and pretty, and I like all this back to school supplies. I recently did a refresh of our homeschool family room, and I reorganized a lot of our supplies, and I got a couple fun bins, and I got a new shelf to replace a shelf that was broken. And I thought I would give you an updated tour and to show you some of the organization that we're using and just kind of how our homeschool room works, because it's not like a typical homeschool classroom. If you think about a homeschool classroom, this is not it. When we first moved into our house about 4 years ago, I did kind of make a dedicated homeschool room, and it turned out that that just really did not work well for us. We had never had a dedicated homeschool room in our other houses, and I thought that's what I wanted, and it turns out it's not, because we don't just do school at home. We live our life and we learn doing so many different things, not just those academic subjects that we're doing formal academics. We learn through so many different things and so many different ways that having a room dedicated just to school just really didn't work for us. So I'm going to show you what our homeschool space looks like this year and some things that we changed from last year. If you watch my previous video, you'll see some things have changed, but many things have not. But I'm excited to show you the differences, and I'm excited to show you the systems we have for this year. So we live in kind of a quirky tri-level house in Wisconsin, and one of my favorite things about this house is this large family room that was an addition to the original house. And what's great about it is it has so many windows. So in the Wisconsin winter, we don't feel like we're in the basement, even though we are a little bit down into the ground level, and we have it has that basement feel where it's cooler and it's nice in the summer, and it kind of is tucked away down in the back behind everything else. But it's where we do all of our life, all of our family life. It's right next to our living room, and it's just where the kids play games and roll around and jump around and wrestle on the floor, and they have friends over here, and they read, and we have fires in the winter, and they do art projects. This is the room where our family lives life together. So it's not just a school room. And we happen to have all of our homeschool things tucked away in a corner here, and we have our home library, and we just have all of our supplies that we need in one place. So if you haven't seen this room before, I'll give you an overview. This room is unusually large. It is a really large room, and we feel so blessed to have it. Now, we don't really have much of a basement in our house, so this room kind of serves the purpose of what a finished basement would look like. But when I put this room together, I knew that I wanted a library corner and a nice big seating area, which we use all the time, and we do our family learning here. So if you watched my whole family learning video, this is where that happens. And we have this corner, and we call it the art corner because honestly, that is what my kids do at this table. Very little, if any, school activities happen at this table. It's pretty much used for art and projects, making games, all sorts of fun things. And then we keep all of our supplies in this corner. So I'm going to give you a little walkthrough of all the supplies in this corner and how we're organizing them and what we use this space for. We really use this space to house most of our homeschooling materials. There are a few that are tucked away in a closet that we don't use as often, just so they're not taking up space in our everyday spaces. But this is kind of where we store the things that we use on a regular basis. So this shelf, I have an entire video. I'm not going to show you every single material on this shelf because I have a whole video about homeschooling kindergarten and the materials we use. And even though my youngest is in first grade, these materials really haven't changed much. They will probably change a little bit throughout the year, but most of them are pretty much the same. I might have added a few things, and I think I changed a couple of organizational bins, but it's mostly the same. So if you want to see a walkthrough of this shelf and all the materials we use for learning numbers and letters and sounds and learning how to read, I will link that video in the description below so you can watch that video of how we homeschool kindergarten. So we've got a basket of books down here. I have the Learn Math Fast books. There are so many of them for my kids that I'm not quite sure yet where to put them. So for right now, they're just sitting in a pile. This shelf is kind of some extra materials. I was gifted a ton of homeschool resource books from a mom whose kids have graduated, and I haven't yet sorted through all of them or decided if we will use them. So these are not necessarily books that we're going to be using this year. They're just kind of extra books. Some of them are books that I had, but a lot of them are books that were gifted to me this year. So I just kind of put them on this shelf, and I have yet to decide what exactly we're gonna do with them. So here I have some supplies for our microscopes. We have a couple different microscopes. This one is great because it's very dirty because they use it all the time. That it displays in like a video screen here, and this is a traditional microscope. This is just a basket of all kinds of books for my older kids that I don't want them to like grab them off the bookshelf. I just want them to be kind of set aside. These are more like kind of classic books or books that maybe I just want to like monitor. They're more, you know, like older books, like books for my older kids. I just want to kind of monitor them so I know where they are, and we'll be using them as part of the Read, Think, Write program. And you can watch my middle and high school video if you want to learn more about how we do language arts and how we'll be using those. So we've got microscope materials in here. These are just things that came with that microscope, little slides and stuff. And then we have like a handheld microscope. This I think is just like a compass and like telescope thing, or not telescope, binoculars maybe. I don't know. These are just some games and things that I have made for my younger kids. Over in this corner, this is the shelf that my kids keep their personal materials in, like their personal books, like workbooks and math books and things. So each of because I have 5 kids and there's 5 little cubbies, they each have their own. We actually have not cleaned these out from last year, so they have last year's things in there and this year's. So they can keep their own personal, you know, like drawings and notebooks and things in there. And then they have anything that's like school related, any journals, nature journals, all that kind of stuff. So they each have one of those, and they just kind of store whatever, you know, school related materials they have. This shelf is mostly like, there's just some random organizational things on there, like anything that I print out that I don't really have like a spot for at the moment. I'll just stick it in there, some extra paper and notebooks and things. And then these are just like, you know, not very organized papers and art materials, like empty cards and, you know, like greeting cards they can use for birthdays and things, and stickers, and like blank books and coloring books and construction paper, that sort of thing. And these are just some random books. I think most of these books are math resources, poster books. I thought I would put some of these up here on the wall. This is a really fun, I have some of these posters in our living room and I really like them. A poetry book. This is for learning place value of numbers. I'm not going to get it to go back the way it's supposed to. That's a poster I made. I like to display my kids' art. This garland is from my shop. It is the Homeschool ABCs. The chalkboard I picked up on Facebook Marketplace a number of years ago. And then this is my brand new shelf. Now I have this shelf in another color over in our library corner, and I was originally gonna get it in white like it is on the other side of the room, but when I went to order it, they didn't have white. So I ended up getting brown and I love it. It looks so good over here and I'm really happy. And it looks like a really super high-end shelf. And it's just a Better Homes and Gardens shelf from Walmart. So it's very affordable. I will link it in the description below. We had a different shelf over in this corner and it was breaking and it just wasn't as easy to access the materials. So in these two cubbies, we have books that are related to art and like how-to drawing books that the kids can use. And because they were in a cabinet before that had a door, they just weren't being used as much because they kind of were like out of sight, out of mind kind of situation. So I'm really happy that they're displayed now and the kids can get to them a lot more easily. These are just some random craft supplies. This is the best pencil sharpener of all time. Dry erase markers, paintbrushes, rulers, just more craft supplies in that thing. This has different kinds of paint, acrylic paint in one and watercolor in the other. All right, then over here, let's see what's in here. Let's see if I can do this. All right, here. Now these containers are from Walmart and they look really nice. Like the top looks wood, but it's plastic, so they're super affordable. This is just some office supplies. Most of those are things that I got from the Dollar Tree that you can watch my Dollar Tree haul if you want to see. These are more office supplies, glue, tape, rubber bands. And this one, there's just like craft supplies, stencils, and stamps. This one has art supplies, oil pastels, watercolors, different chalk pastels, little paint palettes, that sort of thing. And this last one, we have Play-Doh and Play-Doh supplies, like tools and toys you'd use with Play-Doh. And this one just has a ton of random craft supplies. Googly eyes, clay, scratch paper, craft sticks, pipe cleaners. Down here I have a lot of books that are related to our history this year. Here are books for my high schoolers' Guest Hollow Science. You can hear about our plans for that in my 7th, 8th, and high school video if you want to know more about that. Over here, I've just been throwing extra like picture books and things, anything that might be something we want to use for history. I've just been throwing them in there as I find them. And then I just have underneath here just some random like large pads of paper or large coloring books that we have, and some paint boards. We have a couple paint boards that we keep out on the table just so that they're always available. And then we have, you know, art supplies that just sit on the table and are very rarely organized at all. This box is from Hobby Lobby, I think, and I will try to link it below if I can find it, if they still sell it. Okay, then coming around next to our art area is this great seating area that is around our fireplace. We do so much right in this corner. So much learning happens here. We have this great shelf that has, you know, like books that can be displayed. Usually I have books on here that are either related to the season or related to a topic we're talking about. I haven't really changed them out yet from the books that I had in there during the summer. And then down here, just extra books that, you know, are kind of larger and need a bigger space. So this space is used for our whole family learning and, you know, family games, and we tend to like just keep a bunch of random games and Bible devotionals and things out here. We have this cart, and this is kind of where I keep my own supplies of things that I want when we're doing our family learning time. So we've got the morning work binders and just some of their journals and read aloud books. So any kind of like science, history, family devotional books. I just kind of like put resources here that I might want to grab quickly when we're sitting around and having our family learning time. And same for down here. There's just some extra books here, nothing special. There's not like a particular kind of book that's here. I talked about this basket in my morning work binder video. These are just books that have to do with word of the day, and this book is actually goes in a different basket. Anything kind of like grammar or language books. So we've got lots of books in here that I might pull from for just different like language arts resources. And you can look at my morning work binder video to find out more about how we use this and how we use those binders up there. Over here, we have our book basket that I talked about also in that morning work binder video. Just some blankets and random like devotionals and Bible books, and all of these books are like family devotionals or Bible stories, or yeah, just anything like Bible related is over here. Okay, then we have our library corner. This is my favorite corner. I love it so much. It's always been my dream to have like a home library, and I love how this looks and how it's organized, and it is used all the time for so many different things. So we've got just a basket, an overflowing basket that probably needs to be weeded out a little bit, but these are kind of like nonfiction type magazines. Cobblestone magazine, we subscribe to this, and I actually have a bunch of issues of Cobblestone magazine like from when I was a kid, and they are just really really nice quality, and they have held up really well. And actually, like the old versions from like the 90s and the 80s, they actually like feel like books, so they are great resources. So my mom kept those and gave them to me, and I can't get that back in right now, but they are just, we love this magazine. So we get that one and Honest History, and so we kind of just put them in here. And Smithsonian for a while, I think my dad had a subscription that he just wanted the digital subscription, and it came along with a magazine, so we got that for a little while. We had National Geographic History magazine for a while, so I just kind of throw them in here, and sometimes we'll pull them out and the kids will read them on their own, or if I know there's like a magazine about a certain topic, we'll pull it out. This is just random books, random chapter books. Our problem is not having too many books, it's not having enough shelves for the books. Got some early readers down here that are for my youngest. Just a lot of resource books here. Most of these books on top are kind of like historical fiction or biographies, or kind of like classic books. Then there's just a lot of picture books in here. Then I try to like group things together, you know, that are similar, like these National Geographic kids books. These books up here, like the If You Lived at the Time of books, we have a lot of those. Or these Where Is, Who Was, Where Was, those kind of books. These are more like kind of classic books, or like it's these great illustrated classics. We've got some of those there, and these are very like topical, like nonfiction or historical fiction, mostly nonfiction. I think up here kind of history books. I think those are just random picture books. Then this shelf is almost entirely nonfiction books, and they are mostly organized by topic. So we've got some history topics over here, like, you know, ancient history, just kind of general history. This is like ocean and ocean animals, life cycles. These are kind of general sciencey books, kind of math and engineering and science books. We've got human body down here. Nature books, they're kind of categorized, the nature books, I try to categorize them by like topics. So we've got like frogs and toads and snakes and reptiles, but they don't always stay this way because I have 5 kids and they take things off the shelves. And so sometimes they just kind of get like moved around, and it just helps to have like a general idea of where things are and how they're organized. This is, I think, kind of a general nature, forest, animal shelf. This is planet, not planets, but the earth and weather and, you know, taking care of the world, that sort of thing. This cubby is some like classic literature. Got some Shakespeare books, Little Women, fairy tales, Wind in the Willows, nursery rhymes, trees and plants. What is on this shelf? We've got like snails and bees and insects and a little bit of dinosaurs over here. Down here, we've got some gardening and flower books, worms. In this corner, what do we have? Like different climates, like rainforest, and then just some like general nature books. This is a shelf of Bible-related books, more nature books that are a little bit more general. And then these books are more similar to what these are, like Shakespeare, fairy tales, poetry, that kind of thing. Then up top, just some resource books mostly, or books that I wanted to just set aside, or like if there's a book that I don't think that I want my kids to just grab it off the shelf, like I want to make sure that I know they're mature enough for it, I'll just kind of like put it up here. Or if there's a book that like I'm saving this for a read aloud, so I'll just throw it up here so they don't grab it on their own. Then I got these. I get asked about these all the time, and I got these spinning bookshelves from a craft store that was going out of business, and I just keep picture books, and there's now no real like rhyme or reason to what books are up here other than they just fit in the in the pockets. This shelf has, let's see, got a bunch of like general books about like, you know, the way things work, who has a trumpet nose, which bug uses a torch, how to think like a scientist. So kind of sciencey books, or like answering questions, or just, I don't know, random books that fit over here. Got a stack of those Junior Illustrated Classics and some of these Heroes of America books. These books, I love this Write Your Own series from Usborne Paper Pie. Just some like resources like dictionaries and thesaurus. This is a fun older series on like, character. These are more like poetry and stories and fairy tales, and then some math books over here. Then down here we have a lot of space books, and then a Golden Book encyclopedia set. I think I found that at a thrift store. And then these, if you watched my thrifting and Dollar Tree haul, I have these little lap desks, and then some more like trays and lap desks that can be used for whatever. This whole trunk is also full of books. Let's see if I can open So just random books. I don't think there's really a real rhyme or reason to which books are in here other than they just fit in this trunk. Then more books that just are really large, and I like wooden and rattan book holders, so I just have it there. No real reason. All right, over here, these are mostly nonfiction books on this shelf. This is the shelf that is the same as the one on the other side, just in white. So over here, we've got mostly like history and, you know, the United States. Over here, presidents, biographies. It's mostly organized, but not completely. This is more like history, and I think it's mostly history up here, but there are some other books that just like are nonfiction books but didn't have a real clear spot where they should be. This series is my favorite. These First Discovery books, if you've never seen these, they are so fun. They have these great clear pages, and they are really great learning books for younger kids, but even my older kids like them. This looks like kind of a random shelf also. A combination of history and science. I think sometimes I just need spots to put books. This is mostly like United States history. Then on top of the shelf, we just have some like embroidery supplies and knitting and crochet and, you know, finger knitting, yarn, that sort of thing. My kids use these all the time. All my kids like to do like handicrafts, and yeah, I just like to keep the supplies readily available for them, and they end up a giant mess, which is fine. They're a contained giant mess. Then we have a shared family computer. We don't do a lot of technology in our homeschool, but my kids do use the computer for various things. So we have it in a shared space, and we do have a laptop, like a family laptop that we have too, but it doesn't stay down here. It stays up in my bedroom. Okay, over here, we got some guitars, ukuleles, and an old childcraft set from my childhood, and an old encyclopedia set. These are mine from when I was a kid. This is an old table that was my grandmother's that is mostly used for games and things like that. ABC chart. Okay, this shelf has a lot of just like resource books, some books that are books that we would use for like history or science, mostly history, I think, but that we aren't currently using. Let's see what else is in here. These are just resource books we are not using right now. What's in this one? Games, flashcard type trivia games. Oops. There's like matching nature games, birds. These are just a lot of fun games that they can get a hold of and use. And I'm not really over and I can't push this back. There we go. I think these are just like magnet things from, I don't know, they're from the Target dollar spot a long time ago. I think these are some kind of dominoes, like time-telling dominoes, and this is like a game, or like a puzzle game that has like facts on the back. This, let's see, there's a couple little puzzles in here, and then this is, has like a Walkman from when I was little, and headphones, and then like CDs, and actual cassette tapes. Down here, this is a game that I found, like a trivia game, and the pieces are in there, like the cards that go with it. It's like a math game, states and capitals, just random, I don't know, random games. Little supplies, Cuisinart type rods. This is an Osmo that I found at a thrift store, and then our iPad doesn't work anymore, so we can't even use it right now. There's just random like large books from when I was teaching. And then I really like these charts, these scholastic charts. I have a bunch of them linked in my Amazon storefront. I had these when I was teaching, and I really like them because you can write on them with dry erase markers. So they're great for young kids learning how to read and write, and there's just kind of like a fun activity if they want to do it. And then there's other ones. This one is kind of fun. Famous American of the Month, like a flip chart. So we've used these over the years, and we will use some of them with my youngest this year too. So this stack, those are just empty baskets. These, what's in here? I think those are rocks and mineral things back there, like little totes with rocks and minerals. Oh, mag formers. Oh, just different phonics cards, and mostly different cards for my youngest, or like learning how to read. We don't use these a whole lot, but they're here. Then in this shelf, so these are more of those bins that I got from Walmart that are on the other shelf too. And this tall shelf is from Walmart also, Better Homes and Gardens, the same line as those cube shelves that I have. This one has a door at the bottom and it broke off because children. This is from IKEA, and it has just random paper. These are like placemats. We have a lot of these, like rocks and minerals, presidents, maps. This is a cookbook holder that's great for propping up books for like nature study or copywork or something. Yeah, so there's a lot of those in here. And then the rest of this is mostly just supplies, like dry erase boards. We use these like dry erase sleeves a lot, just random dry erase boards. Paper and coloring books. Notebooks and folders. And just random index cards. And these are like little papers for like pocket charts. I think this is a game or something, and like sentence strips. And a lot of these I actually even have left over from when I was teaching. It's not something we use a lot, but I do use them sometimes. Over here, if we go this way, we'd go into our living room. And so right here I have this magnet board, and it's a Jenga game. Down here, there's just a bunch of magnets. There's letters and words. Just lots of fun things. So we have like magnet poetry and stuff, so the kids could pull that out and do that up here. We also have some like smaller magnet boards that they could use for that. In here we have a bunch of different dominoes. We have these little like floor scooters that this is like an old thing of paint that was mine. But in this room we have like in our living room, we have hardwood floors, or well, they're not real hardwood floors, but we have wood floors. So they use these little scooters a lot to like scoot around on the floor. Then on this shelf, we just have a bunch of different bins that I have separated out books on different continents and different things about the world. So down here, I think these are just general world books. And then I have books for each continent kind of separated out, so that if we wanted to do a study on a continent, or if we wanted to like one of my kids wanted to learn something about penguins, and I knew I had penguin books in with the Arctic, Antarctica, so I have those in there. And then there's just like a ton of different like maps and puzzles having to do with country or the world, and they're not super organized, but they're all on top there. Now we use this room for so many different things, but what we like about it, because it is so large, is we can use it for, running around, playing games. The kids like use this large space to do all sorts of things like wrestling and playing ball, working out. We have like some little weights, trampoline, a beanbag. This folds out into like a bed that we use for like movie nights, a wobble board. We got this pretty soon after we moved in, a basketball hoop, darts. One of my kids has like a pottery wheel. So we just use all sorts of things in this space. Gymnastics mats that we got from IKEA a long time ago. There's a chicken outside. It's our chicken coop out there. So this is just a fun space that we use for all sorts of things. Definitely not just school, but like when we are doing any kind of learning activities, like the kids spread out all over this room. They don't stay just over here. I like them to be able to move around and have a lot of space to move and to find the spot that they want to do their work. So sometimes my older kids will go upstairs, but a lot of times they just spread out in here or go into the living room, and just a really fun space to move around and to do all sorts of things. So it's not just homeschooling that happens in here, because we're just learning all the time. Our life is a life of learning, and it all happens in this space. So as you can see, this space is so much more than a homeschool room. We just live our life here, because life as a homeschooler, it isn't just about the academics, and it isn't just about the school work. The school part is not where our focus is. Our focus is home. Our focus is family. Our focus is living our life together and just learning all the time. So we have a space that allows that to happen. It's not just about sitting around a table and completing workbooks. It's about living a life that is learning. So we have learning that is happening in all spaces of our house and outside of our house, in the garden, with the chickens, in the woods, in the library corner, at the art table, around the fireplace. Like, we have so much learning that's happening in our house and in our everyday life. It's not just about having a special homeschool space. So if you don't have a homeschool room, that's okay. You don't need one. We had so many years where we did anything school related. We did it at the kitchen table. We did it at the living room couch. You don't need any kind of special space to homeschool. You just need a space that's conducive to how you live your life. So make it work for your everyday life, not just your school time. But if it works for you and your family to have desks and to have it maybe be a little bit more set apart, do what works for you. The thing about homeschooling is that it has to work for you. It has to work for you and your family, and the way that looks is gonna be unique to you. So if you haven't already, you can check out my video from last year. A few things are changed, but I know that I talk about some different things. In that video, I do talk a little bit more about supplies and what you might want in your homeschool room and what might be necessary for you. So check that out. I know I share some different ideas and some different things in that video, because every year changes. Every year the things that we do change, and I add things and I take things away. So it's fun to see just how things are over the years. You can also check out, I will link some blog posts below from my website that talk about the different spaces that we have had over the years and the supplies that we use and we don't use, and kind of what we have found works for us in a homeschool room. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon in another video. In the meantime, keep cultivating your home. Bye, friends.